Welcome to episode 82 of Speak On It. I am your host, Danny Ocean, as always, joined by the smoothest man on the planet, Losty Mix. How was your Thanksgiving? This is the first episode since Thanksgiving.
Oh man, Thanksgiving was awesome. I was in the kitchen. I was actually throwing down for the first time, and some things went incredible. I was able to make a little something, something. Man, I was just blessed to be able to see another Thanksgiving. How was your holiday, my brother?
It was great. I was in my family now. I have earned the right to be the gatekeeper for the turkey. I make the turkey every year, so made the turkey
Mm.
this year. Came out really well. Proud of myself. My nephew, who is 7 years old, who is extremely honest, he said last year your turkey was mid to thumbs down. He was like,
Oh,
this year, yeah, he was like, this
oh,
year it
yo,
is.
why are kids so mean?
I don't know. I don't think they understand the power of words. They do, because if you say something mean to them, they start crying. But when they say things to adults, they think it's funny or they think they're, yeah. But he said this year it was a thumbs up. So I feel like I should retire, hang my jersey in the Raptors like Thanos. Like,
Okay, but
this
did he
is
say? But did he give this feedback last year?
so last year when I smoked it, it came out and he was like, the turkey looks burnt. And I was like, but it's not. Like that's what it's supposed to look like. And he ate it and he was like, yeah, this is good. So I don't know, like if he's just trying to crack a joke on me. I just know he's getting closer to the age where I can say stuff back to him that isn't wrapped in love. Like I can, like once he gets like 11 or 12, and if he's still talking like that, oh yeah, it's a
Do you
wrap.
think does he give off more like future Hooper vibes? Like you take him maybe to the driveway, show him up, or do you think he gives off maybe future receiver vibes? Now you got to go put him out on the route and see what he really about.
He he's more of a genius. Like he is really really smart. Like
Mm,
especially for someone like he is like really like I know people say oh he's smart. No, he is like smart. Like he
mm.
teaches me stuff, and I'm in my 30s, so it's kind of like a like I'm smarter than you, and he probably is. But so D, let's do some housekeeping stuff, and then we can go
Talk to
about
me,
what we're
man.
talking about tonight. As always, the show is brought to you by GoingForTwo.com. The playoffs are 2 to 3 weeks away, depending on how many people are in your league, depending on your format. I'm sure the trade deadline has passed in all your leagues, but you can still pick up players, get on that waiver wire, get the player that's going to secure you the championship, get your money back, get the championship belt. As long as you don't have to do what the loser has to do. I know some of these leagues have some wild things that losers have to do. I'm glad I don't do any of that. I don't participate in those leagues. But again, head over to goingfor2.com for all your fantasy needs. D, tonight we are going to be talking week 12 in the NFL, including the New York Jets, hence the name. We're going to talk about the Eagles and Packers. They played on Sunday night. We're going to talk college football. The rankings were just released before we went on air and our thoughts, our usual quick hitters, and always we're going to end the show with your commissioner notes, our fantasy chat, and
Yo,
then
plenty to
we're
talk
going
about fantasy chat
plenty
for.
to talk about. You and I faced each other this week. We have a lot to do, so let's jump right in.
Let's talk about it.
Um, Week 12 in the NFL has wrapped up, and we had a surprisingly a pretty decent slate of Thanksgiving games. I was a little bit surprised, pleasantly surprised, that Giants Cowboys game was the only game I was looking forward to. But that Bills Lions game is also really interesting. Then on Sunday we saw the Chargers finally reverse. I'm not saying the curse has been reversed, but they did the thing that the Chargers don't do, and they
They
pulled out
uncharged.
a win.
They
Yeah, they
charged down.
uncharged
Yeah.
and they pulled out a win in the fourth quarter. The Jets offense looked competent. Mike White, who would have thought? Um, Philly ran all over the Packers on Sunday night. The Bengals, a very impressive win in Tennessee. They actually shut Derrick Henry down. They go into Tennessee, they get a win. And the Browns beat Tom Brady in Cleveland in overtime. D,
In the
what are
last
your
three Deshaun Watson game.
Yes, Deshaun is back this week in Houston. But D, outside of that, what are your two biggest takeaways from this past week of NFL football?
Oh man. I would say Cincinnati is really, really impressive. I think what they're doing, I think they're really starting to figure it out. I think they're starting to get some of that chemistry they had towards the end of the regular season last year. And obviously, we saw in the postseason. I think once they get Jamar Chase back, really started getting him, kind of integral integrated back into the offense. I mean, you're talking about a Cincinnati team that could be highly, highly competitive. And, I think they're going to be, I don't think they've played Baltimore yet. So I think, those two Baltimore games are going to be important on who has, home field advantage and is able to host a playoff game. I think Cincinnati being able to host a playoff game would be huge, just like they were able to last year, maybe pretty big. So obviously, this game this week with versus the Chiefs is going to be one everyone has their eyes on. Rematch of the AFC Championship game. So that's a big takeaway. And then my second one. Okay, Chargers. I was wrong. I thought y'all were going to pack it up after the Chiefs loss. I think I said last week, usually after both Chiefs games, the Chargers start packing it in for the season. Hey, I was wrong. They were really, really impressive. Really gutsy call. I think they're in the fourth quarter. You obviously see that, your offense is starting to find some rhythm. Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert are obviously starting to find that chemistry again. Hey, man, they must have been watching the Jags earlier. They had to have been watching the Jags earlier. Jaguars obviously went for two, pulled one out versus the Ravens at home. And so Chargers said, bump it, why not, versus the Cardinals, which coincidentally enough, which is also part of my takeaway, I also started the in-season Hard Knocks of the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, how is it?
I mean, they're keeping it mad. You definitely see them not going. They're keeping it more top level with their storylines. Obviously, keeping it about the team, the record each week, their opponent versus versus the preseason. They dive deep into players and those type of storylines. I think obviously it's a little bit harder to do that. When 53-man roster people aren't getting cut, so you got to focus on more of the in season. Just some nuances, but man, the Cardinals, you could see in the Hard Knocks that they have a sense of urgency of what they're trying to do. They obviously recognize that their season's slipping away, and I think when the season started, they were like 3-5, 3-4,
Mm-hmm.
no 3-5, and right now they're what 4-7, 4-8.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm sitting there like, oh man, nothing's really changed in these couple weeks. But you're seeing how a lot of what we know and we're saying about the Cardinals and the need to pick it up, they kind of know internally. It's just, man, ebbs and flows of the games. It's unfortunate, man. It's just the Cardinals are sort of like my fantasy football team in the redraft league. I mean, you're just there every week, but the other team just makes plays, and you're just kind of like, okay. What about you? What are your biggest takeaways?
The first one, and this is a Thanksgiving game. The Buffalo Bills might be in a little bit of trouble. It took a Herculean effort to beat the Detroit Lions, but we won't read too much into it. The Bills had to play Sunday. The Thursday games are a hard turnaround, especially when you're traveling. So we're not going to go ape shit on the Bills just yet. My second one, the Washington Commanders.
Oh man.
Wow. And that's two levels of wow. Wow, you actually call that a Sean Taylor tribute. And wow, you are actually, there's an opportunity. There is a chance that all four NFC East teams make the playoffs. It is absolutely insane. At the beginning of the year, I think we both agreed that the NFC East was one of the weakest divisions in football. And now Washington, they're on a bit of a roll. It's semi-exciting to know that the NFC East is finally getting the respect that we deserve as being one of the best divisions in football. So I'm glad it's starting to reflect on the field. And then,
well, let's just. I gotta just say that as an outsider, I can say that it's finally good to see all these draft picks, these early draft picks that was being pumped into this division because of the mediocrity, finally deciding to really show up. And now you have 4 competitive football teams.
It's a beautiful thing. It's not just us in Dallas. And then this is going to bleed into the next question, but The Denver Broncos really got on the plane and flew across country and got their ass kicked by the Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold.
Man, look, look.
Like, you talk about a get right game. This was supposed to be it. Like, you're playing the Panthers.
Okay, so people, we're talking about the most embarrassing losses of the week. I think we're both in agreement here that it was easily the Denver Broncos. I'm laughing because I keep having the image of the one defensive player coming off the field yelling at Russell Wilson, and I saw this tweet where someone said "Broncos country, let's ride." That's what Russ said. And dude was like, "Go ride to the end zone."
Dog, and this is coming from a guy who was a fan of Russell Wilson. Like, I am a fan of Russell Wilson. Dog, that graph I told you about the number of touchdown passes he's thrown compared to the number of toilets he has in his home, he's one away. I also read a tweet that Carson Wentz has more touchdown passes than Russell. Carson ain't played in 6 weeks.
He does. That is true. That is true. Listen, Pete Carroll is just somewhere smiling, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know Pete Carroll. Let me ask you a question. Does someone on the Broncos roster put their hands on Russell Wilson in the locker room? I'm not talking about like punch him. I'm talking about like a light shove, like maybe walk by him and bump shoulders. Like does Patrick Surtain like just walk by Russ and just checks him one time in his chest?
See, when you asked that question, the first picture that came to my head was Cam Newton and Josh Norman.
Yes.
and I just see like some defensive lineman just grabbing them and being like, "You gotta score a point." Man, that's not happening, man. That's not happening.
The best defense in the league.
That's the quarterback, man. You don't put hands on the quarterback. I do think I did read somewhere that if the Broncos decide to cut Russell Wilson, they'd be saving like 30 or 40 million in cap space. And I was like, would they like what do you do?
But
if you're the Broncos, you know you're picking early, what if they actually have to consider drafting said quarterback?
Well, they don't have any picks. They gave him to Seattle.
Oh man.
So yeah. So if they cut Russ this year, the dead cap is $107 million.
No, he got to go out there and start.
Yeah, he got to do it at least one more year. Like you could say this is a mulligan. He got to do it one more year.
Because you can't fire the head coach after year one. They might fire him after halfway through year two.
Oh no, they'll fire him this offseason. No, that's a done. Nathaniel Hackett is out of there. He gone. If you notice, when that offensive lineman is yelling at Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett is standing in front of them, acting like he can't hear anything. That's the kind of shit they get you fired. Anyone find that clip on Twitter? He walks by Nathaniel Hackett and he shouts at
Russ.
If
Nathaniel Hackett was to get fired, that he would come back to Green Bay and be the offensive coordinator?
If Jordan Love is starting, sure. I don't know if he'd come back to Aaron.
Well, they just won 2 back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah, I mean, he'd go somewhere and be an offensive coordinator. This is hard, right? Because someone's going to have to be the scapegoat. It's usually the coach. But anyone with 2 eyes can see that Russell Wilson is just like he's cooked. As of right now, he's cooked. I don't know if it gets better, but
you're saying he's a cooked product?
I think he's cooked, right? Like Aaron Rodgers looks cooked, but Aaron Rodgers is hurt, so Aaron Rodgers gets a pass.
He was a little banged up, man. You know what would really upsets me about this team is that what came into the year, everyone thought being a strength in their defense is such a terrible weakness. The offense has really started to pick it up over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Like they're starting.
You're talking about the Packers, right?
Yeah, the Packers offensively are starting to figure it out over the last 3 or 4 weeks. The defense is bad, which is so confusing because we paid a lot of good defensive players, and a lot of these same players came back from last year where we had a decent defense. So was the losses of Darius Smith really that big?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I just know y'all were faking injuries on Sunday night, and I did not appreciate that. All them dudes is catching cramps in 40-degree weather. How does that
Dang.
work?
Yeah, it's because they need a little bit more water. It's December, November. Come
Jair
on,
Alexander,
I may be thirsty thinking about it. What are you talking about?
Jair Alexander acts like he has a cramp. Eagles are running tempo. He falls down. Training staff checks on him. He gets up, starts flipping the bird to the crowd.
Hey man, that sounds like they it may have been maybe he was trying to talk to somebody in the crowd because they said something.
Pathetic.
What do you think about the Raiders and the Seahawks game?
I think so. The Seahawks, one of their weaknesses is they don't have a good run defense. And my oh my, did the Raiders like the Seahawks will make the playoffs? They're going to win the division. But dog, if they have to go up
Are
against
they?
any team that, yeah, they'll win the division. Who's close to them? I don't think is anyone even like within a game of them.
I think the Niners are leading the division.
Really? They are. Wow, I did not know that. Wow, San Francisco, low key. Okay, my bad. No respect. Yeah, it's a wrap. Seahawks story was cute. 49ers are here. So where are they in the NFC playoff standings? Hold on
They're
now.
probably top of the wild card.
Yeah, you're probably right. Let's see.
So my thing is, do you think the Raiders offensively? Would you think the Raiders as a team are starting to get it together? Do you think this was? We shouldn't get used to this if we're watching the Las Vegas Raiders.
It's a good sign. Like I know whenever I know Raiders fans want the offense to run through Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, but that offense runs through Josh Jacobs. Like when Josh Jacobs is running the ball, the Raiders are a pretty good offense. Sometimes I feel like Josh McDaniels falls in love with the pass. He's like, I have Devontae Adams. I need to give him the ball, which you do, but I feel like you need to establish the run first, set up your play action, and then Devontae is a nasty enough route run to get open off of play action. If I'm the Raiders, that's how I run my offense. I just know when I've watched them from time to time, it seems like it's pass, 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 3 and out.
Okay. I mean that's pretty much what it is. I mean, you saw the Saints completely shut them down, and that Saints defense has not looked the same since they played the Raiders. So maybe the
Yeah.
Raiders have started to figure it out. Um, Speaking of the NFC South, the Saints are playing on Monday night, but they're playing against the Bucks, and the Bucks lost to the Browns in overtime. How come
That
no one
is
calling him? How come no one saying should Tom Brady shut it down, and maybe they should evaluate Blaine Gabbert?
the answer is in the question.
Hmm?
You trying
Why is
to
it only should Aaron Rodgers shut it down? Let's evaluate Jordan Love.
let me see. Blaine Gabbert is 33. Jordan Love is 24. That's
Touche.
no, yeah. We don't need the Blaine Gabbert show. I'm good on that.
All right. Well, tell me what do you think's going on in Tampa? Why are the Bucks struggling the way they are?
I don't know. They this week against the Browns, they started to establish the run. I know people have been saying that. Julio's starting to look. Chris Godwin seems to have recovered. Mike Evans has completely disappeared. I don't know where Mike Evans is in this offense. It's the defense. I feel like time I watch the Bucks, like someone is taking advantage of the defense, and specifically, what's the linebacker? White, 45. Like he used to, yeah, he was a legend. His name used to ring heavy in these streets, and I feel like teams are just like completely taking advantage of him.
Do you think? I mean, I know they had a few injuries. I don't. I know. I know they've had some injuries on the defensive end, but yeah, I'm with you. It's. I think, man. I also think coaching wise, Todd Bowles, man, we need to maybe start looking into his. Is he really the coach we think he he, he is?
Yeah.
You have those coaches who are better off as maybe, you know, assistant's not saying that it maybe is the case here, but I'm just saying you just see it just feels like coaching differences. Like in the fourth quarter, there was a chance if they were more aggressive, the Bucks probably could have won that game in regulation. They kind of settled for going into overtime, and they and then ended up playing out the way it did.
I wonder if that's
do you think Bruce Arians makes the same call with Tom Brady at quarterback? I don't know.
I'm with you on that. Bruce Arians was a lot more aggressive. I think Bruce, like you said, some coaches are better as office coordinators and not head coaches. That's a lot of responsibility. And maybe Todd Bowles falls into that category, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. This Bucks team is really, and they're still in lead of the division, which is crazy. The Bucks, you know what?
Because every division is bad, but the Monday night game, the Week 13 Monday night game, Bucks and Saints is going to be a big one.
These, can someone save us from this purgatory of these primetime games? Like the Sunday night game was good, but the Sunday night game this week is Dallas, Indianapolis, and then the Monday night game is New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I think the Thursday night game this week is
Buffalo and New England.
Buffalo and New England. You want to watch that? I don't want to watch any of those games.
Hey man, bills have to be paid is what they said, and games have to be played. They had a chance to flex out of the Cowboys and the Colts, but listen, any chance you get to go see Jerry and that team,
yeah,
you gotta take it.
I'd rather see Commanders and Giants on Sunday Night Football, Chargers, Raiders. Like there are a couple other games you could have grabbed.
Three out of the last four Sunday night games feed the Chargers, and that's not even like a big market. Now you gotta start. It's a numbers game because eyes have to be on the product.
I mean, you also got Chiefs Bengals. That's a rematch of the AFC Championship.
You can't look. That's CBS. That's Tony Romo, Jim Nantz. They not flexing that. They got that one locked down.
That's fair. I don't know. I didn't watch a snap of the game last night. The only reason I was interested because you and I had people playing fantasy wise that we both needed to put up points to win. That's the only interest I had in the Indianapolis Colts. Well, the Fighting Jeff Saturdays.
Man, that was what a shame of a game. On to college football. We can talk about fantasy wise later. Talk to me. Where are we at with college football?
First, though, Gator J made the point that the Bills will play the other fifth seed right now and play the Chiefs in the divisional round. I could live with that. That would be fun. College football playoff. The teams were announced before we got on air. So rivalry week, I always have a problem with that. It lived up to the hype, especially Michigan, Ohio State for those who watched the game, and USC Notre Dame. That game was a lot of fun.
It was.
But now the playoff picture, it's starting to come into picture. It's starting to get really clear. Where do you think the playoff picture stands heading into conference championship week, D? And for those who don't know, Georgia's 1, Michigan is 2, TCU is 3, USC is 4, Ohio State is 5, and Bama is 6. D, what are your thoughts?
Man, I think the top 4 was pretty evident. If you watched the games, you kind of knew Georgia was the clear number 1. I think Michigan fans, University of Michigan, the state of Michigan, 42 Doug, Big Sean, Babyface Ray, the Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Lions. I was wrong. I got to come in here and say I was wrong, and I apologize because I didn't know your game. I wasn't familiar with your game. So I got to issue an apology because hey man, I came in here and said Ohio State was going to do this and Ohio State was going to do that. And well, rent was due and Ohio State got evicted. So Michigan.
They though? Because right now they're 5. Like if SC loses to Utah in the Big 12 championship game, there is a universe where Ohio State could sneak into the playoffs without being in the championship game. They're 5 right now. You
Yeah,
don't put them at 5 if you don't think they can jump
but
back
I
in.
think see, then my question would be if you look at Ohio State and then you look at Alabama's resume, yeah, Alabama has 2 losses, but they're both on the road to good teams. And Ohio State was at home by a pretty large margin. And then you
Yeah.
saw what happened in that second half and how it maybe fell apart. I mean, yeah, they have them at 5 because they lost to Michigan, but I think if you evaluate, let's just say, um, you know, I just think I don't know. I think there's maybe some SEC bias. I know, they have the advantage of only having one less loss, but that was a pretty nasty loss. Pretty nasty loss. But overall, I think the top four makes sense, obviously. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Michigan makes sense. TCU at, at 3 makes sense. So Michigan and TCU, I think, would be a way better matchup for TCU.
Really?
And USC at 4. Oh, man. Lincoln Riley is somewhere kicking himself because he says, I just cannot escape. I just cannot escape an SEC opponent in the first round. And, sir, I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
Never mind.
No, it's gonna get nasty. Like if you're SC, I don't know what you hope for. I don't know how you jump TCU. Like if TCU loses, maybe you're able to jump TCU and get Michigan. But do you want those Michigan problems? I mean, Michigan's a better matchup, but yeah, I don't want to play UGA until I have to.
It's a problem. And
Who does TCU play in the
they
Pac-12?
play I think Kansas State.
They do. They play Kansas State.
In which I think if for anyone who watched the first matchup, that was a pretty close game.
Yeah.
That was a pretty close game. So should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be watching. I've been pushing the TCU agenda hard, and it continues to live on and well. They're sitting nice at number 3, so you can see the committee respects their strength of schedule. They respect the fact that maybe not all their wins have been sexy and by large margins, but they respect winning, and I think that's the most important thing. They respect winning.
Do you know what's funny about these new rankings?
What?
The committee has so little respect for Texas A&M that LSU's loss dropped them all the way to 14. LSU was like 5 or 6 last week, and then they Texas A&M, and the committee was like, "No, you can't lose to Jimbo.
Yeah,
you gotta go."
Because they were looking at it like, look at the state of this program. This is a team that's been struggling offensively. They're likely going to part ways with their offensive coordinator, and you guys still lost. What is going on in Baton Rouge? And man, I also want to say Dabo, man.
Dabo got Spencer Rattler looking like he was what he was supposed to look like at Oklahoma.
Yeah, it wasn't. Man, that was ugly. That was ugly, and I was pushing the Clemson agenda, pretty heavily. Thinking that they should have a chance. They're a 1-loss team. Well, I think they're going to win their conference championship this weekend versus UNC. But, whoo, man, that was a loss. I was just sitting there, just shaking my head because, like, what is going on? That one in Ohio State, because it was just like, how you let people come into your house and take your food like that? How you let that happen?
Dog. USC, if you have to play Georgia, Caleb Williams, do not paint your nails to say FUCK Georgia. They will kill you. And that I'm not speaking in hyperbole, like they'll murk you, dog. They'll beat your ass. I mean, do you like they did Colt Brennan? Like, do you remember that Hawaii Georgia game, the Sugar Bowl? I was pushing the Hawaii agenda real hard that year, and then he ran against Georgia, and I was like, oh, they play football different in the SEC compared to the WAC.
Caleb Williams gonna call Bo Nix, and Bo Nix gonna tell him, "Hey, boy, they ain't like that. You can't be doing that.
Yeah,
you have to be an old-fashioned way."
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Shout out to Bryce Young because he was a healthy receiver away from being dangerous.
He was
being dangerous, man. Georgia looks good. Georgia looks good. Michigan looks really impressive. I was really impressed in the way they were able to go on the road with composure, really handle a solid team. And man, Ryan Day, man, he didn't play to win the game. he played not to lose, which is a
Yeah.
shame because you don't do that against in a rivalry game because it's all emotion. Your team feeds off that. And they saw how he was coaching not to lose instead of coaching to win, which is important. Which is important. Ask Brendan Staley with the importance
Yeah.
of going for the win instead of playing to not lose. It's big.
I think the funniest thing of all this is last year when Michigan beat them, Jim Harbaugh said some people on third base and think they hit a triple, and then he came back this year and beat Ryan Day's ass in Ohio. Just he is officially a bully.
Hmm. I saw somewhere where someone said Harbaugh officially has his old Stanford teams here at Michigan now, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a good way of
Ooh.
it's a good way of looking at it. Man, I think Jim Harbaugh is really showing that when he has his guys and his recruits. I mean, his program can be something really really serious, like they were at Stanford. And maybe we should be talking how this is Jim Harbaugh's league and not Ryan Day, and maybe we need to figure out because I know Urban was sitting over there sick. He was like, man, this guy's messing up my legacy. What are we doing?
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Say what you want about Urban Meyer, and there's a lot to say, and we've said a lot about Urban Meyer. He would have won that game Saturday.
He would have won that game. I was saying the same thing.
He would have won 40-13. That'd have been it.
You heard the fans out there cheering. We want Urban.
No.
Yeah, they was after the game at the little Fox set because he works on Fox now. They was chanting Urban, and I was sitting there like, "Yo, y'all, okay."
Ooh.
So who was really mad? That makes me wonder. But I digress.
Let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
This has kind of been sitting wrong with me. Not wrong. I'm just very intrigued. So, if those of you don't know, Luke Fickell was the head coach of Cincinnati. Now he has taken the head coaching job at Wisconsin.
Good
Question
hire
to
for
you,
me.
D. What is so appealing about the Wisconsin? Like Matt Rule's in Nebraska, that feels right. Something about Fickell to Wisconsin doesn't feel right to me.
Well, I think Wisconsin has a really good history of developing offensive linemen and running backs, which are key, especially in the trenches with the offensive linemen. So, obviously, with Luke Fickell and his history at Cincinnati, how he was able to turn that around, and you look back at some of those defensive players from Cincinnati. What was it last year, the year before, whichever year? I think it was last year. A lot of them are playing on NFL Sundays right now. They're playing a lot of good ball. And obviously we had Desmond Ritter, Alec Pierce. So on the offensive side, he's able to get good recruits, and he's obviously a good coach. I mean, he's able to take his team into college football playoff last year as a group of 5 team. So, I think Wisconsin's got a good coach, and they just want to get back to their competitive ways because I think Wisconsin feels like. No one on the Big Ten East should be, or the Big Ten West should be rocking with them.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm looking at the Big Ten West now. I get it. Purdue, Illinois. Your biggest competition is Iowa,
Although
Nebraska.
has made a real comeback with Brett Bielema.
Yeah, that's true. So your biggest competition will be Illinois, Iowa, and Nebraska because Matt Rule just took that job. Okay, I get it. So
Also, speaking of Illinois, Lovey Smith, man, you got about 4, 5, 6 more weeks, my brother, before you're putting in your resignation as well.
I'm sure he's ready for that. You want to do some quick hitters?
Talk to me with the quick hitters.
Before we get into this fantasy talk, because that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about Monday Night Football. Do you have anything to add about the Colts Steelers?
Jeff Saturday, I understand why you didn't take those timeouts. I'm not gonna. I don't think I think the world's going a little crazy, and you understand. Would I have taken those timeouts though? Yes.
Yes.
Gator J says, please explain to me how Hugh Freeze is a better coach and fit for Auburn than Cadillac Williams. Cadillac has earned that job. I know he is staying on the staff, but that's not right. Well, Gator J, a couple things. 1, white privilege. 2, Hugh Freeze has a history of success everywhere he's been at, and so the way they look at that.
So I'm going to counter that with I don't think the Auburn job is as sexy as people think the Auburn job is.
It is not.
Here's the thing about the Auburn job. You see how they treated Gene Chizik after he won a national championship, had a couple of down years. Auburn thinks it's Alabama, but it's closer to Ole Miss. And that's the problem. The administration acts as if they're Alabama, but they're closer to Ole Miss. And that job, Hugh Freeze will be gone in 4 years. I promise you. He's going to go 1-3 against Alabama, and that's going to be it. Like, the Auburn job is not sexy. I'm glad Cadillac didn't get that job, because if he had gotten that job and he had lost to Alabama 2 or 3 years in a row, that will probably be it for his professional coaching career at a D1 level, especially at a Power 5 school in the SEC. I really hope Cadillac gets a job like the Cincinnati job, a job that's a great job that's not in the non-Power 5 to kind of get his feet wet. A UCF in a job. Tulane is, I think Tulane's replacement is on staff. Coastal Carolina, something like that, where he can build up, get his chops, and then jump into a Power 5 school at the SEC or in the Pac-12, wherever. I'm kind of glad Cadillac didn't get that job.
Look, I wish they at the Group of 5 school because, you know, we see what Debo's doing. I'm not Debo. Deion's doing down at Jackson State, although he's been getting some interest. I think he's going to stay at Jackson State. I mean, maybe there's something in really developing a program, getting numbers of picks that come through there, and you know, maybe that's a selling point in recruiting as well.
But for those, and I want to touch on this real quick, because this is the best story in college football outside of Bobby Petrino having a brothel at Louisville, and then oh boy at Arkansas breaking his neck riding his mistress around on the motorcycle. For the people that don't know, Hugh Freeze was fired from Ole Miss because he tried to defame the ex-head. Ole Miss got some NCAA violations for recruiting practices, giving money to kids. The old coach, they tried to blame on the old coach. Old coach said no, sued them for defamation, asked for the phone records, and through that, they found out that Hugh Freeze was texting hoes, and by hoes, I mean prostitutes, not women, on a state-issued phone. He was trying to link up with the escorts with a state phone, and that is why Hugh Freeze ended up at Liberty. Greatest story in college ball outside of the previous two.
I mean, that's real horny Hall of Fame-ness. I mean, like that's all-time horny. Like, goodness gracious, Hugh. What did Charles Barkley say? If you're going to commit crimes, don't do them with checks and don't do them on government phones.
Hello, we don't do it on the burner. Phones. D, does Zach Wilson get a job back?
Do not commit crimes with checks.
Or text.
Or text. Or sext.
Or sext. That's the yes. D, does Zach Wilson get his job back, or has Mike White?
Nah, Zach, you need seat warmers because your ass is finna be cold on that bench.
I will say this.
Yo, man.
Zach
Wilson. You shouldn't have told that story about smashing somebody's mama, though. You know they're going to get for that. Go ahead.
Zach, you're already in New York. Go ahead and start applying to those internships on Wall Street, my brother. The hedge fund is calling your name.
So my thing is, what were they seeing in practice with Mike White to just now really start giving him the full keys?
So you know what's funny? I was on Instagram, and there's a clip from Rich Sherman in his podcast, and Richard Sherman kind of was talking about the politics of football and, you know, where you're selected, right? Like I think Mike White was a 6th round pick, something like that, and Zach Wilson was number 2, number 3 overall. And pretty much how Zach is going to get every single opportunity to, you know, to play and to prove that he's the guy, even though I'm sure in practice everyone sees that Mike White is a lot better than Zach. And once Zach lost the locker room, I think that was like, if Zach still had the team behind him, I think he'd still be starting. But there's, you know, like when he goes to the podium, it's like, oh no, we ain't lose because of me. Like, dog, you threw for like 70 yards. No, it's you.
Yeah, he might. Someone probably had to see something about him. Had to hit him with a little bit of straightening. But hey, man, Mike White out here putting on the show. Now, how much do you chalk that up to the Bears not being good?
We'll see next week. But I mean, the Bears have been on a roll recently. Granted, it was because of Justin Fields and his ability to be extremely dynamic. I'm looking forward to who do the Jets play this week. I think they have a big game this week. Let me
Jets
see.
play
The Vikings.
the
They play the
Vikings
Vikings in Minnesota on
in
Sunday.
Minnesota.
That
That's
is a
what,
big game.
yep.
Let's see what Mike White does in Minnesota before we start talking.
Yeah.
Have you bought your 10 jersey yet? Have you bought your Jordan Love jersey yet?
It's about time, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I feel
almost
like
about
Aaron
time.
Rodgers is done for the year.
No, I think he says if he's good to go, he's gonna play. I think. Listen, I think when you're paying a man almost $50 million a quarterback, he gonna quarterback that damn team. You ain't got no
Yes.
value. You ain't got no more evaluation to see. Till they say you cannot play. It's in that $50 million man out there. Come on,
So what do you do
Andre.
about Jordan Love though, right? Because after this year, after the
He,
season, you got to decide if you're going to pick up his fifth year option.
they will.
Okay, so we're just going to long play this.
Hmm.
Do you trade Aaron in the offseason?
I wouldn't
So you want
unless
to
you.
keep Aaron one more year?
I mean, who's gonna want to pay $50 million for a quarterback a
I
year?
bet you the New York Jets would do that deal in a heartbeat.
You know.
Or I bet you the Raiders would do that deal in a heartbeat. I bet you the Falcons would do that deal in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, I guess
Um,
we'll see, right? I mean, there could be plenty of packages people could put together, but that's a really good player. So I don't know if there is a package that's worth a really good player like that.
Speaking of good players, OBJ, does he sign with Dallas? Does he sign with the Giants? Does he sign elsewhere?
You heard it here first, people. I think OBJ becomes a Dallas Cowboy.
Yes, that's the only team that makes sense is Dallas. Does he actually make a difference though? He just tore his ACL in February. It hasn't been a full year. It's
He
barely been
said
9 months.
he's been cleared to play.
All right. Speaking of Dallas, Jerry Jones.
Oh
For
my!
those who know Jerry Jones this year, I believe what newspaper outlet was it? The Post or was it the Times? Some national outlet received a picture of Jerry Jones attending. What do you want to call it? I don't want to call it a rally.
It was during the racial integration times of elementary schools in the deep South, i.e., Arkansas, in like the 1950s or 60s.
And Jerry is seen in a picture while a group of black students are being harassed and heckled as they try to enter school. Jerry essentially said, I just wanted to see what was going on. D,
Oh,
that man he is a wild, wild boy.
that's a wild. Yeah. He a wild boy. He a wild boy for that one. He a wild boy for that one. Um. So this one's hard because part of me is like, yo, Cherry Jones, how do you not know what the hell's going on here? Because like, what are you doing here? But then I'm like, well, wow, he's made comments on the kneeling before. I don't know if that was race implied or more business implied. So I don't know if he's like a verified racist. Like you don't really hear a lot of his former players coming out and saying, "Nah, Jerry Jones this, Jerry Jones that." I think a lot of former players talk really well about him, and they're always back at the games.
Yeah. I
But
think you hear the exact opposite. People love him, like his ex players. I'm at the point in my life where there's absolutely nothing Jerry Jones can do that would surprise me. Like when I saw that photo, I was like, yep, that fits. I could totally see Jerry attending a desegregation,
yeah,
raising hell.
I believe that was him, but do I believe he was there with the pitchforks talking about some? No, go back to your kind and your people. Nah, I think Jerry Jones was probably trying to holler at a little something, something, hurt people yelling. Yeah, yeah, talk about it over here.
And to
He's
be
like, oh,
clear, no one is saying Jerry Jones, there should be a price to pay for Jerry Jones attending I would just love to hear there was there. Not, I was just seeing what was going on. I saw a bunch of angry white people marching toward the school, yelling the N word, and I was like, what's happening over here? Like, come on, dog. Like, we not stupid.
I mean, what do you want him to say? I feel like he was with a little honey and got lost. Stumbled
Oh, is
upon
that is
something.
that? Oh, he was like, yeah, me and this girl went out back to do a little thingy thing, and we came back, and all I saw was these people treating these Negroes
Yeah.
like this.
He said he ain't never heard so many ERs.
Oh
Uh,
my god. Let's
See,
shift to basketball.
Bam in here now, but he did. I don't know if he heard my Michigan apology. I don't know if I'm doing it again.
Yeah, for Bam is late. Of course he is. But D apologized to the state of Michigan earlier, so catch it on the replay because he ain't apologizing twice.
You feel
D. Russell Westbrook went from professional basketball player to an MMA fighter.
boy?
He was about to throw sands on Zach Collins after
Oh
he made
my!
lead.
Oh man! So when I saw it, I didn't see that Russ was bleeding. So I'm like, man, Russ, he really about to hurt somebody. Then I saw Russ' face, and I said, nah, go back there and tell him to tell his homeboy to y'all meet outside and let's get him, Russ. That's where I was at because I was like, what are you doing? Why he coming down like that so hard? Pause. I don't like that. I don't
Do
like
you
that.
do you remember SmackDown versus Raw? I forget what year it was, but certain wrestlers, if you made them bleed, they went into like a blind rage for like 45 seconds.
Mhm.
That's what that reminded me of. Like he saw his blood and just turned into Kane from like SmackDown versus Raw 2009. Yeah.
He was
Yeah. And
that's how
that's
they
what happened
do
in Detroit last year. What's the kid LeBron made bleed? That was peak.
Isaiah Stewart. He was
Yeah.
like,
He
I was like, yo, bro, what do you think you about to do? What do
That
you
man
think?
turned into Brock Lesnar.
Man, he was breaking tackles, getting off blocks like I wish my defensive linemen were doing on the Packers.
That's a tough scene. The saddest story of the week. Dog, what's wrong with the Mavericks?
They got a Western Conference hangover.
Dog.
I don't
And
know,
then
man. It's rough. Listen, makes me wonder why y'all ain't paid Jalen Brunson that money he was asking.
man, you know what? It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild. You need 3 people who can handle the rock, not just 2. So you know what Mark Cuban said? Let me jump in my time machine and get Kimbo Walker. Dog, it's not 2013.
What about Spencer Dinwiddie though?
He's the second. So Luka's your primary, Spencer's your secondary ball handler. But what happens when they both go to the bench? Who's running the offense?
Maybe you guys have a bench player who leads the offense, but your primary scorer is still a starter. Maybe you
Man,
got
that's crazy. If only they had someone who could do that. Damn. I don't know, man. And then also, Bullock is not hitting his threes. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been in one of the worst shooting slumps, I think, in the history of mankind.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. This team, they always start off low and then they find themselves at the end. I really wish they could just start a season with a good record so they don't have to like
But see,
all
that's
gas.
you're asking for too much there.
Am I?
Yeah. They said you got to come with the good and come with the bad.
When Luka leaves in 4 years,
To
we're
go
gonna
where?
look back. Oh, the Lakers. Come on, man. We know how this story plays out.
No, he's
Come
not
on, man.
even gonna go to no LA.
We know what the Lakers do. The
He's not-
Lakers don't care about the draft. They make their money in free agency.
You're crazy. He's not going to no LA Lakers.
If Luka leaves, it's going to be LA or New York. I don't know why he want to go to the Knicks, but you ready for talk some fantasy?
Fantasy. Oh man. Oh man. It is that time, is it not?
Time for your commissioner notes. It's the best part of the show.
People, it is time for our commissioner notes. Danny, do you want to start with our redraft or our dynasty league?
Let's do dynasty. Let's switch it up.
All right, we got Bam in here. We got Gator J in here. I don't know if Kyle's in here. but I'll go through some of the notable reports. So, best team was Say It Not Shay It 8, Bend It Like Beckham Jr. 183 of those things, and he played me. It was the battle of the number one seed. I lost. It's unfortunate. Um, Bam was the worst team of the week, scoring a big old whopping 123 total points. So shout out to Bam. A lot of points left on benches. I'm seeing. Um, let's see. Lowest points in a win was Gator J at 140. Biggest blowout was my matchup, 183 to 127. Narrowest victory, Rojo Truther over Capone 21. That was actually a good matchup, won by 2 points. Greg was the biggest overachiever. I was the biggest underachiever. Oh, wow. Danny, I mean, overall, I mean, you know, in the two divisions, I'm in the American GM conference, you're in the National GM conference, and your division is, I mean, some teams have started pulling away. You got a 9-3 team, an 8-4 team, and then you're sitting there, third in your division at 6-6.
Yep.
How you feeling, man? How you
I
feeling
feel okay.
You know, there's no more trade, so what you're going into is what you're going into the draft. So
yeah. The trade deadline was really fast and furious on my end. I got a lot of trade requests. I sent a couple of trades out to some people. Nothing happened. That's okay. We're going to stand pat at the end of the season. The trade deadline will be here. I will definitely have a premium pick first round, fighting for the number one pick overall. Thanks to, let's see. Well, Bam can still make a push, but right now he and Kyle, they are fighting for the number one pick overall. And let me tell you something. If I get one or two, we're going big game hunting again. We're going big game hunting.
well, you know, if Bam doesn't make the playoffs, then you'll be picking anywhere from 1 to 4. So you have to look forward to, and I guess that might not bear. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I gotta see. I'm just picking so late, and so I'm just kind of having to start.
Well, yeah, I have your first round pick, and I have my first round pick because it looks like as of today, it's going to be picks between 1 and 4, 6 and 8, and then like 9 and 10. Right, so I'm gonna have like every other. I own 30% of the first round. We can do some damage. We can have some fun. When do trades open back up? Is it as soon as the season ends?
I imagine it's when this. Maybe I imagine it's when the league is reactivated, probably.
Okay, for the draft. That's fair.
So, man, I don't know. In the American GM conference, I'm sitting there at 9-3. Gator J is 7-5, so he's 2 games behind me. I mean, me and Gator J actually end the season playing each other, so Gator J still has a chance technically to win the division. I think if I win, then if I win one more game, then that kind of solidifies me there as the division winner. So we'll see, and Gator J might be a solid 3 seed.
Yeah, I'll say shout out to Gator J. He's won 3 in a row. Gator's starting to hit his stride at the right time.
He's peaking at a good time. He's getting some guys back healthy. You know, he was trying to make
some noise
too. You know, me and Gator J were in communications about a trade. Didn't ultimately pan out, but you know.
Yeah, I had some people were trying to. I don't want to say rip me off, but some people were asking a whole lot for certain players, and that's okay. We'll revisit in the off season.
I really don't have a first round pick. I got two second round picks, but I think I can make something work in the second round.
Oh yeah, I mean, but your team is like you're in contention for a championship though.
Yeah, which is the most important thing. That's what it's all about. So I'm glad some of my players are starting to hit their stride in my redraft. I mean, in this dynasty league. Jonathan Taylor starting to find his way. Don't know what happened with Derrick Henry. We're just going to call that one a chalk to the matchup.
Yep. Luckily, he plays the Eagles this week, so lots of time to get right.
Man, you think he's on his way to doing something special versus the Eagles?
I know it's on the road. It's in Philadelphia. I know the Eagles' run defense isn't the best. Like you saw, Aaron Jones was kind of Aaron Jones got good yardage for the most part every time he touched the rock. I think
Mm-hmm.
Sunday's game against the Eagles is going to be a whole lot of Derrick Henry, keep Jalen Hurts off the field, limit same way the Commanders played the Eagles, but instead of little, quick slants for 4 yards, it's going to be Derrick Henry up the gut for 4 yards.
Pause. Yeah,
Pause.
hit me on to something, man. I don't know. So I got Tyreek Hill. Obviously, he's always liable. And then Lamar and Mark Andrews. I'm just waiting on them. And I don't know, man. The development of George Pickens might be something for me to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I drafted him. And so he may be turned into a true wide receiver too. Him and Gabe Davis are fighting for my second wide receiver spot. So
I almost reached out to you about George Pickens, but I know you and I have traded a lot. I don't want to give the illusion that we are colluding.
no need for that. I gave you a first round pick. I don't know what more you could want from me, man.
I was gonna make you a nice deal for George Pickens. I had my own Pickens. I was gonna make you an offer for Hill. Like I had my eye on Hill.
Hey, matter of fact, I'm thinking about how I'm going to give him the supermax in the off season.
I know. That's why I didn't. I will say there were a lot of people who had certain players on the trade block, and then when I go to do business with them about a player on the trade block, they ask him for the farm. No, sir. If he's on the trade block for a reason.
Yeah, that seems to be the way fantasy football works. Everyone wants to be on the winning side of every trade instead of the equal side of the trade. You want to go to our redraft league? Lot
Yeah,
of
let's do
very
it.
interesting matchup. So, Danny, it was the third time that we played each other across
Yep.
two leagues. You had already won the season series. You were looking for the season sweep. What it quickly turned into a good old fashioned barn burner track meet, and
Yes,
Josh Jacobs essentially won it for you.
he did because I left Garrett Wilson on the bench. And Sunday before the Seahawks Raiders game, I felt real stupid. You were ahead by a lot. Like ESPN had like me, it was like a 77% chance you were going to win. And I felt real stupid because that was the difference. It was like a 25, 30-point difference. And that's what Garrett Wilson was at flirting with. I felt real stupid. And boy, did Josh Jacobs come and save my ass.
Yes, he did. Sometimes it be like that.
Yes, he did.
Sometimes it just be like that. And honestly, when I look at this team of mine in this redraft league, this matchup explains my season in a nutshell. You score 150 points and you still lose in regular PPR format scoring. It's just kind of as my team is the Chargers. I mean,
Yeah,
it's okay.
because you would have legit beat everybody else in the league, everybody else, and it wouldn't have been close.
Yeah, just be like that. Luckily, though, I still have a slight chance
Yeah,
to make the playoffs. I need to win out, obviously, and I need some help. And I mean, with the way some matchups are going, it might be tough for some folks. So
and then I have to win one more game before the division is locked up, and then what am I? 67 points away from being the scoring leader. This has been a cross country distance run. The leader was ahead by what I think 120, 150 at one point.
mhm.
Yeah, and I've slowly been chipping away. We're within striking distance. For those you don't know, in this redraft league, D has set it up beautifully so that the conference winner gets some money, highest score gets money on top of winning everything, and I believe second place also gets a little extra change.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Gator J is asking if I'm going to have to pay the dues next year, Danny.
No, he will
That one.
not. He's not. He's not. There's someone else whose team is allowed. D's like D said, D team is good. It just hasn't clicked. The person who will be paying the winner's dues just has a bad team.
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's a chance I might come in last. I mean, literally that six seed. It's like a game apart. I mean, the six seed is literally 5-7. I'm 4-8. It's not good football being played. I actually played the guy in last place this week. I already beat him one time, so he has to beat me. And but then again, it might come down to points for then if we split the season series, and I'm ahead by over 140. So man,
D. It's going to be okay. I have faith in you.
the thing is, I have a lot of confidence that if I made it to the playoffs, I could go on a run.
You could. You absolutely could.
Because this is there's no reason why a team that has Justin Herbert, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, Jettas, Keenan Allen, Patty Fryermuth, Chris Godwin, Olave, Jamal Williams, Christian Watson, Leonard Fournette. There's no reason why this team should be the record that it is. It's just weeks like last week happened, and you're just kind of sitting there like, yeah, I mean, I guess so. That's literally what I was saying. Watching Pat Fryermuth play, I'm sitting here like, yo, Pat Fryermuth, like, come on, dog. Like, at this point, it is what it is. It just is.
And if we're being honest, I have 3 of the top 5 running backs, and I have Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Josh Jacobs.
You know, I really hope next year in this league, people learn how to like properly draft versus like their
dog
draft position.
Well, see,
people come in with like these draft strategies, and I'm like, okay, but that doesn't make any sense.
I'll say this. When the league started, ESPN had me in last place because I drafted those 3 running backs.
But you also had AJ Brown. So the addition of getting his quarterback just kind of sets you over the edge of you should just be able to stack points. But I guess one other thing is that this I strongly believe that after this week I might be sitting pretty well across like all 5 of my leagues. So I have a 10-2 team. I have a 10-2 team, 2 9-3 teams, a 6-6 team, which is my work league, which I'm fighting to stay afloat. That team had Cooper Kupp, had Rashad Bateman.
Oof.
I mean, it's rough. My best running back is Damian Pearson. That's it. But I had Cooper Kupp and I had Tyreek Hill, had Rashad Bateman. I got Christian Kirk, Kyle Pitts. A lot of injuries on this team, but we're 6-6. All we gotta do is make the playoffs. And then my redraft league, which I still feel like is my best team on paper, we just gotta make it to the offs. That's all we got.
I have faith in you.
6 wins. 6 wins makes the playoffs. I'm fairly confident.
Yes.
So, and 6 wins might get you the 5 seed too, because Buddy, who's the 5 seed, he's been on a little bit of a slide too, and he plays the leader of the. Hold on, he either plays you or the leader of the other division.
Let me see. I know this week is going to be a bit of a tough matchup for me, but I know
the wild card seeds play the number 1 seeds in our redraft league.
Okay. Yeah, so the guy you're talking about, I play him this week, and then the week after that, I play literally the second worst team. And I just need to win 1, and the division is mine, and that's $50, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's looking like I am mathematically eliminated from winning the division. So this will be the first time in the 3 years of the league that I did not win the division. It's okay.
It's okay. Bam said he wants his apology. My brother in Christ, you have to go to the beginning.
You have to re-listen, Bam. I apologize to multiple people and teams and institutions from the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit. The only thing I can do is tell you, Bam, I was wrong about the University of Michigan versus the Ohio State University. Rent was due, and Ohio State got evicted quickly and swiftly. Clemson, Ohio State, you can't let your rival come into your house, kick your shit in, and take your money and leave.
You think
Folks in the
that?
barbershop was mad disgusted watching Ohio State. They weren't even Ohio State fans. They were just like that. That's what they were saying. You gonna lose like that? Oh,
Dog.
speaking of losing like that, last thing before we get out of here, the University of Oregon. I don't know how you lose football games like that. I don't know. Don't know.
You had an opportunity to play USC, if I'm not mistaken, in the Pac-12 championship, and all you got to do is beat Oregon State. Can't even do it.
Can't even do that. Bam says he actually wants an apology for me for me giving him some shit for benching Kamara when he had a whopping 7 points. Okay. Listen, this is all I'm gonna say to the folks in the Dynasty League. Back in September, I specifically noted that the playoffs were week 17 and 18. Specifically noted. No way 2 weeks before the playoffs, people ask me, why do we have the playoffs for week 17 and 18? That's hope. That is many words, and hilarious is not one of them, but that's the word I was getting ready to say because we are on FCC airwaves in some way, shape, or form.
Dog, there's been a thorn in your side since that.
Because I was like, guys, relax. Like, can we at least let week 18 play? Like, did y'all watch week 18 last year? There were some real wars. That's why I'm like confused.
Dog, that was
only one team gets a bye. Do people not realize what that means? That means seeds 2 through 7 is like straight up matchups. Oh my gosh.
Here we go. This was the funniest shit ever.
I'm sitting there, everyone's like, they're going to be resting their starters. And I was like, I went and looked at week 18 from last year. I was like, yo, God, nobody rested their starters last year. The Packers were the only team that quote unquote rested their starters, and Devontae Adams still got a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. So what? What do you want? What do you want? These guys,
it was so funny.
Like these people have to like play to get paid. Like they have to play snaps, and then have you guys seen the level and brand of football that's being played? Like no one's even like a clear cut true number 1 seed, which makes me even like, oh my gosh, you really the Giants are going to be shipping it in week 18, dog? Nah. Look at the roster and look at the record. They are in between hell and the promised land, which means they have to keep playing because they don't know which way to go. So Saquon is still going to start. Jesus.
Bam said I was hoping someone would have asked to extend
it. Again?
So Bam. That was going to be me. But I didn't ask. That was going to be me because I was working with 2 teams to pull off a deal with the deadline pass.
So here's my thing.
I wasn't going to ask that question.
Here's my thing. Originally, it was week 9, and then it got pushed to week 12. In between week 9 and week 12, no one was making trades. It's hilarious how we get into like the last day or so. Now everyone wants to push the button. All that tells me is that if we would have extended the trade deadline a week prior, everyone would have waited another 7 days to do the same thing. Yo, week 12 is the trade deadline. Get your damn trades in if you trade, and if you're not going to trade, don't trade.
Dog, I was in the background like burning. I had to trade
3 months. That's 3 months worth of trades though you could have made.
I know, that's why I didn't say anything. I didn't ask to extend it. I thought about it. I was like already annoyed from the week 17, 18.
Give them this, they want to take them out. Give them, and another thing. What if like week 17 you are down like 20, 30 points, or even worse, what if you down like half a point to a point? You was really you want to just take that L? Want to just take that L instead of having a whole nother week to drop straight bums on your bench that you was never starting, grab some more bums from the waiver wire and play him if it really came to that, dog. Like, come on, man. I was like, yo, some of y'all don't want to win money or you scared of losing money, but even if you were ahead, you would still have a better week 17, 18. And honestly, I don't even know if I'm put up to a damn vote. They playing their damn starters week 18, damn it. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. God damn it.
I'm with you, Gator. No trade deadline. Let me trade. Well, there has to be because you don't want championship teams. That is peak collusion. I could see that happening, but I was close to a couple of deals.
No.
I was close, and I believe Greg fell off the face of the earth. And I'm going to say his name. Greg and I were working on a deal. We were talking, we were ironing it out, and then he just fell off the face of the earth until the deadline.
I don't think he was serious about trading with you then. I don't think he was serious about trading with you. Gator J, I think you kind of should have made that deal for Cooper Kupp, but I understand why you didn't want to. NFL has a trade deadline. We will to week 12. Get your trades in next year, people. Danny,
do you have anything else?
If you make the championship game, be prepared to play week 17 and 18, and that's the damn bottom line. And have your team ready to play because my team will be.
For those who may be on the audio adventure or rewatching the stream, as always, if you have questions for us, it doesn't even have to be sports related. It could be about your love life, what to buy your significant other for Christmas, how I make my smoked turkey, which was absolutely divine this year. Shoot us an email, speakonitpod14@gmail.com. Again, that is speakonitpod14@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, speakonit_pod. You can find me on this bird app at Danny Ocean 41. D, where can the folks find you? And can you give us a song to take us home?
Of course, people, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch at LosDMix. That is LOSDEEMIX. I'm gonna keep playing this song that I started us out with because the name of the title of the episode is Mike White on White Crime. So of course I got to come back. with that white B. Shout out to the white soul out here.
One question before you play the song: when you going to start going on Twitch again?
Man, you know what? I'm thinking about starting to teach myself how to DJ and documenting the process on Twitch. But I got to get like the DJ equipment first. Okay. Part of me thinks like I may need a new Mac too.
And bam with the disc. See, fellas, I'm going like OSU's national championship hopes. It is time to go.
They're 5, so
yeah, they can still get in if USC loses.
And well, I guess if y'all played them again, I don't know if the outcome would be much different.
Yo, can you imagine? And then we can go. Can you imagine if TCU and USC loses and Ohio State and Bama get in? Dog, they will burn this mother to the ground.
Yo, I would probably laugh real tears because it's like, yo, it's just inevitable. Because it's just inevitable. But like, nah, because TCU got to win because I want to keep my agenda alive. Because Sonny Dykes might fuck around and do something crazy. That team's the type of team that might mess around and give like a Georgia a randomly good game in a national championship.
I promise you.
I feel like all you gotta do is win the semifinal game, get some real momentum going, and then it's like, okay, if Georgia's the team that comes out, then fuck it, we here then.
UGA, Michigan, and TCU should be in regardless. There's no way you need to put in a 2-loss Bama team over a 1-loss TCU. That should not happen. 3 should be in because they would have 1 loss anyway. Those 3, it's up to USC.
I agree.
All right, that's it. Now we're gone. Y'all have a blessed week. We'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you, people. Be easy, be breezy. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to spend it with us. Ooh, la, la, la. Shout out to the white B though, Mike White. Right. This for you, baby.
Y'all be easy.